Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
We've got some pretty cool steampunk-style sculptures being installed at Milner Gardens today. We're going to join the process in the next 30 minutes. They came to life 75 years ago, and island owners are keeping them on the road. Inspired youth on Gabriola Island, and will the boys beat the clock in Bowser? You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. These are second-year students from the Visual Art Department at Vancouver Island University, and they're looking for the perfect spot to install their steampunk sculptures out here on Milner Gardens, and we thought we'd just come along for the ride and figure out what the project is all about. We're starting off today with the history of the Volkswagen Beetle and bus. It's been 75 years since it came to life, and there's a lot of them still on Vancouver Island, even though they are no longer in production. Here's Annette Lucas with a little bit of a look at some people who are pretty passionate about their bugs and beetles. The Nanaimo VW Club is working on putting together a show. If you'd like to get involved with that or want more information, you can go online, www.nanaimovwclub.webs.com. Other people working on their show are the students from the VIU Visual Arts Department. What's your name and what's your sculpture?
Hello, my name is Christian Avener. This is a maned wolf. Took approximately about 2 weeks to build. Made 5 different boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
why did you choose a wolf?
maned wolf, mainly because it's got these very long features, like it's got long legs, long neck. I'm not sure, kind of like a preference kind of thing. Okay,
something you felt like doing. The beauty of art, you can create what inspires you. And what's your name and what inspired you for this?
My name's Julia, and honestly, I don't really know where this idea came from. I just decided I wanted to do a sea monster kind of theme and decided to try to do the skeleton of it. So this is what came out of that.
Very cool. I think it's a nice way to use the material.
Thank you.
To really highlight what its attributes are. Okay, and now what the students are doing today is kind of wandering around the garden, figuring out where they're going to install these, and they'll be on display for you to see until September of this year. What's your name and what's your project?
I'm Ariel, and it's kind of like a decomposing skeletal deer thing.
Okay, I don't know if I would have guessed that. A little bit morbid, maybe?
Yeah, a little.
Although if some deer decomposed around here at Milner Gardens, I'm not sure they'd be all that upset because they come in and they eat all the flowers and everything, right? It's quite beautiful. Wow, and I've sort of bullied her into talking to me today because you said you're very shy, but you're a retired physician and now you're taking the art program.
Yes, I am.
I'm
enjoying it. That was my dream and passion, and I'm glad to be able to do it.
And you have a flamingo, it's not pink.
Yeah, it's a flamingo, but there is a bit of color in it.
Very nice.
I suppose.
And you're looking for the right spot to put that in.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, okay,
indeed.
Excellent. Thank you. Now we have something here that looks, we've got some leather, and this is when I think steampunk, I think of this.
Yes,
and
that was the inspiration for it, was steampunk.
Tell me a bit about the story of what you've created.
Basically, I wanted to do something really outside of the box for myself, and went with a crane, bird thing, and...
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What parts were out of the box? The mixture of materials?
It was basically the mixture of materials, from the wood to the leather to the copper and basic metal.
Okay, and what's going to inspire you when you know that it's the right spot to put it here at Milner Gardens?
Probably lighting.
Lighting?
Yeah.
We know all about lighting in this business. Okay, and finally, we're not even getting this one out of the truck. What's your name?
Shalita Harper.
And what have you created? It's huge.
It is a giant oryx, and I just really liked how it leaped and this image of the skeletal.
Okay, now when you find your spot, you're going to have to be very sure because you don't want to be moving this one in and out.
Basically, I'm just going to find somewhere where I can put it, and that's going to be good with me.
Okay. Have you considered how the elements might change the sculpture at all?
Yeah, I've thought about the rust, and I think I really like it. A little bit of the rebar here is already rusting, and I think that adds a really nice color to it.
Okay, excellent. Thanks. We're going to explore more about this project later on this edition of Go Island. We're doing a short break now, though. Still to come today, We Day on Gabriola, inspiring more than one day of change, and a brand new edition of Clock takes Todd and Derek to Bowser.
Did you know that Nanaimo Hospice has over 250 volunteers? Over 100 of them work at our thrift stores to help support our programs. The other 150 work directly in our community with people who are dying, people who are grieving, and people who are caregiving. Over the years that hospice has been in existence, 32 years, we have trained over 1,000 volunteers. We have supported over 32,000 individuals. And our work in the community is something that we feel really builds strong and healthy community.
You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're out here at Milner Gardens and Woodland today, and I didn't know it, but my son's school group is on a field trip here, so he wanted to go on TV, and he's holding one of the installations that the students from the Visual Arts Department at VIU will be installing in the garden today. It looks pretty cool, eh? Give it a thumbs up. Yeah, and I've already interrupted the class enough, so we're going to let David get back to the program today as we throw things over to Kelly Robinson. There's some inspiration taking place in a school on Gabriola Island. It's all about We Day. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. Jason Gress is an instructor at the VIU Visual Art Department. These are your students. How big of a deal is it to have your work out in public, especially somewhere as prominent as Milner Gardens?
It's a huge deal. It's great for the students to be able to work really hard on these projects and put their, inspiration to work, manifest these great large-scale metal sculptures, and then have a place for them to go. Quite often we find students work really hard right up to the end of the semester. They make these projects and then they're like, oh, what do I do with this now? I live in the dorm room. What do I do with this giant sculpture or whatever? Mm-hmm. So we try and find as many spots as possible, and like you said, this is an ideal opportunity, an ideal spot to place these large-scale sculptures.
Why steampunk?
I wanted to give the students a point of reference to sort of start with, and it doesn't really matter what you give them. They always take off running and give you, surprise you with their creativity. So I thought it was a nice point to start for those who needed a starting point, and then it was enough room for people to kind of take off and run with it.
And did they all have to choose animals, or did it just work out?
Well, we have kind of a two-pronged project going on. We have the senior students here from Arts 285 that are doing the large-scale metal animals, and then we've got some other projects from our first-year classes in the forest installed, and they are little gnome houses, steampunk gnome houses, and steampunk birds that they've created out of metal as well. So there's kind of a two-pronged project going on. So yeah, these guys were definitely had to do an animal, but it could be a fantastical animal as well. So
all right. The only limitation is the imagination, right?
Exactly. Great. Yeah.
Excellent. And all these are up for viewing. You're viewing at Milner Garden and Woodlands until September of this year. And wondering from Jeff, what kind of experience do you think that brings to the visitors here?
Oh, I think it really adds a great creative aspect to it. I mean, this is Veronica's garden, and she was very much an artist. So being able to include sculptures and especially being able to highlight one of our programs and within VIU is just a brilliant partnership. We're really excited.
I get the sense that it's sort of the beginning of something that's going to continue and get bigger, because you had a lot of installations at Christmas, and this is just the beginning of more stuff like this.
I think Jason and I will be working more in the future. Yeah, it's been a great project to work with them, and we look forward to having them back again and again.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. And we're going to have a look at those gnome houses before the end of this 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and this is a newly installed trail at Milner Gardens and Woodland, specifically to showcase these little gnome houses and creatures created in the steampunk style from the Vancouver Island University Visual Arts students. They're here on display at Milner Gardens until September of this year. And just a note that on April 26th, 27th, they have their annual spring sale here at the gardens. And on the 26th from 10 until 1, there is a Shred It fundraising event taking place in the main parking lot. $5 a box of old tax forms or whatever paper you want shredded. It will all benefit Milner Gardens and Woodlands. We're going to throw things over now to something I've been looking forward to for quite some time. It's a brand new edition of Clocked. The Boys Are in Bowser. That was a really fun edition of Clocked. clocked. And did you know that Mike the bartending dog was actually in Ripley's, believe it or not? They're looking for some final locations for the installations from the art students at VIU. You can experience them for yourself until September of this year. Before we go, May is Hospice Month, and locally on May the 4th, Nanaimo Hospice is hosting a picnic in the park. It is a major fundraiser for the organization that runs at 11 o'clock May 4th, Sunday, Maffeo Sutton Park. It is a walk to remember and picnic in the park. You can get more information, www.nanaimohospice.com. That's just too funny. Thanks for watching this edition of Go Island. We'll see you next time.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.